Hi there, welcome to another week of activities from Ready Steady Read. So we've got three activities this week that are all about supporting your child as we start that run up to reception. The first activity we've got is a communication activity. Now we've already talked about listening and how important listening is for hearing sounds in words, but communication is equally as valuable because it helps our kids understand what the sentence structure is. So essentially, if your child is really good at communicating, when they are then reading, they're going to find it easier to work out what words are and what words go in what order because they already know what it should sound like when they speak. It's like, I always use this example, it's like having the picture of a puzzle in front of you when you're trying to put the puzzle pieces together. It's much easier. So today is a communication activity, and today is one that will also support your child when they enter reception. It's called Family Photos. And for it, all you need is a photo of your family or someone in your, or the people in your household, because I know there are two different things. When your child does enter reception, a lot of people are likely to say, oh, who's in your family or who's in your household? And if your child feels comfortable and confident talking about how many people are in his house or their house, how many pets you have, or who looks after them on a Tuesday, for example, they're going to find it a lot easier to communicate within the classroom as well. It's likely you will be asked to take a family photo into the school, so that there's normally a nice little display board where all the kids can put their family photos. So your little one can go and find a space to look at you guys when they're at school and help them make that link between home and school. It's not, they're not going to school forever. They're not just being dropped off and left there. It can help a lot of kids remember that you are coming back and that they'll go back to you at the end of the day. And it can help a lot of kids settle. And having that conversation around who's in your household, who's in your family, can help with that as well. So if you can spend 5 minutes today, tomorrow, at some point, looking at the photo, either the photo that you're going to send in or any photo that you have, and talking about who's in this photo, who's in the household, what do they do with you? As in, do we go climbing trees together? Do I stay with Nonna every Wednesday? For example, that can help your child make that connection between, right now and their everyday life as well. So it's a really simple activity. It might seem a little bit out there or a little bit obvious, but it is massively, massively important. And again, communication is key. So if your child says things like, oh, I remember when we went and climbed trees, you can go, brilliant. Can you think of any other times you climbed trees? Or what was it like to climb the trees? How high did you get up? Do you remember? So you can then expand the conversation there and get them talking, because talking is always going to be the precursor to reading and writing. It's an amazing skill for our kids to have, and it's definitely something we want to encourage. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope your little one comes up with a few different sentences about their family, and I hope it helps them feel a bit more confident when they do start school as well. I'll see you for the next activity. Hi there, welcome to the second activity for this week, which is called wall art. This is such a simple activity, but is great for those gross motor skills. Now, we've talked in previous weeks about gross and fine motor and how they are the core of learning to write. So when your child goes to school, they are going to be asked to sit up so that they can pay attention to the class. Sitting is core strength. That's literally the ability, like your core muscles help you sit up straight or just help you sit. What we tend to see is some kids, sort of find it quite hard to do that. So we want to be building core so that they can find learning fun and find learning interesting and find it easy to pay attention rather than finding it tiring. Gross motor is going to help with that as well, which are the muscles in your arms and your shoulders. Fantastic. When we are writing, we tend to use our shoulder to write, although it's not quite as obvious as that. And our fine motor are our fingers and the muscles in our hands, which tend to be a lot smaller when we're writing. So we want to be building gross motor, and wall art is a great way to do this. It's very, very simple. Get a piece of paper, put it on a wall. Sounds really easy, doesn't it? If you're worrying about your little one going over the lines, I highly recommend going around the edge in masking tape or a different colour, because the difference between the colour of the paper and the colour of the masking tape can help your child visualise where it goes and where the pencil doesn't go, for example. You can also give your child pencils instead of pens if that will make it easier not to go on the wall. Or what I have discovered is a door is a great resource because they tend to be that sort of shiny material. I don't know quite what it's called, but it tends to be shinier, so it tends to be easier to wipe off if you wanted to do that as well. But ultimately, if your child is writing, we often tend to think of sitting down and writing at a table. That's great, but it doesn't really use our gross motor. It tends to be a lot more fine motor. And we want to be making sure that this is strong so that they can do this later on. So Putting it on a wall and getting our kids to write on a wall, fantastic. They're holding their core up by standing up. They're getting their arms to move by making these big movements on the wall. If you want to take it a step further, put it underneath the table so that they're having to write upside down like that. Again, core strength, arm strength, all of this, amazing. And also mark making. Any mark making is fantastic for our kids because they're starting to create marks and then attribute meaning to them. So say what they've drawn. If you'd like to, you can then write underneath what they say they've drawn. So you are then giving meaning to their marks and saying, look, yeah, I can write that down so that other people can understand it too, which helps your child understand that when you write something, it means something. So that you are then writing Thomas the Tank Engine in a field. Great. And your child can then see, oh, there's scribbly bits here that I can't read yet, but it means Thomas the Tank in a field. So you're then providing that and supporting with that. So very quick and easy activity. I'd love to see pictures of your child's wall art. I've obviously added a photo of my setup at the moment. It's currently clean, but I will hopefully add something else later once it's got a bit more artwork on it. But I'd love to see what you guys come up with. So I hope you enjoy it. Hi there. So today's activity is a very, very simple one and it's great for name recognition. We've already talked about why name recognition is really useful when our kids start school, and it's because they will be doing some amazing artwork. They'll be doing loads of different things. And if they can recognize their name, or if ideally if they can write their name, but we'll get to that because that's something we do learn in reception. If they can recognize their name, they're going to find it so much easier to identify their artwork, to identify their peg, to identify their book bag. All of these things is just going to be easier. So we've already had one name recognition activity where we just matched letters across. And today we're looking at something a little bit more complicated that not only looks at recognizing what letters are in their name, but also what order they go into. So I've done a quick video on this. All you need is a piece of paper with your child's name on it, and then you cut it out in interesting patterns. By doing this, your child can then use it as a puzzle, which is great shape recognition as well, and shape orientation. They can put it together to make their name, and once their puzzle is complete, that's their name. So you can then say, oh, look, that says Thomas, or that says Clara, and you can match it up. You can then, obviously, do this as many times as you want, either with the same thing, or if you make it hard, you can make it harder just by cutting out less explicit shapes. So your child then has to sort of work out which way does it go, which one goes in which, until you can literally just have the letters and see if your child can put them in order. So again, it's quite a quick and easy one to set up, but it's really valuable for getting your child to remember what their name looks like and the order of letters that their name goes in. So I hope you find this one useful, and I'll see you next week for even more activities.